Welcome to another edition of Wings Weekly. Jay Kleinknecht here, and of course, head coach Scott Langer. Coach, a weekend over in Austin, and I guess the silver lining is you come away with 2 points on the weekend, but unfortunately can't pull off a win. And both games going to overtime. A scoreless first period and the Friday game, and then teams traded goals back and forth throughout the second and third with Connor Beatty, Philip Tarnquist, and Jack Powell and Riley Murphy all scoring. What did you guys as a staff take away from Friday night?
Well, it's again, we fell behind, battled back, but the result isn't what we want, obviously, and we're falling short right now as our guys are continuing to improve and develop and try to get some continuity in our lineup. I guess the good thing is we're salvaging some points, but it's not going to be enough points to compete in the Central Division with how your Minot and your Bismarck and your Wilderness, those teams there are performing. So we're back to work this week, and we're going to work on some things that we think we're deficient in, and hopefully go into Minot a better hockey team.
Okay, well, we spoke a little bit, pregame Saturday, and there were some positives that you guys liked, certainly from Friday's game. Saturday, the Bruins led 1-0 with a goal late in the first period. The Wings would answer early in the third with the Noah Edders first goal of the season, and but in overtime, Larkin came out of the corner and was able to sneak one past for the game winner for the Bruins. Saturday, same kind of thing where you saw some good things, some bad things, some things you need to work on. What do you think of Saturday's game?
Well, we didn't give a whole lot up. It comes down to a mistake where you have a defenseman that ices a puck and it comes down to a face-off and a goal through a screen. Those are the little things that are getting us right now. We make a mistake and we pay for it, and that's a prime example. Things are going really good and then you ice a puck and you can't get off the ice, and a little too early to call a timeout, and they end up scoring and taking advantage of the situation. So we're having a lot of those things. You've played 3 overtime periods in a row, and you can continue to make a mistake, and player just walks out uncontested and ends up going short side with it. So sooner or later, we're going to figure this thing out. And these guys are they're good hockey players, and they're good athletes, and sooner or later they're gonna get tired of making the same mistakes that are putting us in a big disadvantage to win a hockey game. So as a staff, we hope that happens sooner than later, and we start having a little more success.
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly one of the positives is that right now the Wings have the best power play percentage in the Central Division at 25%, and the penalty kills the third best at 81.3%. Talk a little bit, if you would, about specialty teams and how you guys feel like there's some strides being made and some improvement, it seems.
Yeah, our Coach Hill does a good job with the power play, spends a lot of time on it, and I think our guys have really grasped the concept, and they're a smart bunch. So. I don't have a problem with our specialty teams. This weekend we had to kill some penalties in some big-time spots. Mm-hmm. Where it could have meant losing in regulation. So I thought our penalty kill this weekend was the best it's been all season. It's growing, and that's good, because we're going to need when things really get going here, we're going to need the specialty teams to carry us in some games, and I think they can.
Yeah. Well, and side note is that the Wings have seen very few power play opportunities compared to many of the other teams in the division. In fact, less than half in some cases. You talked about it, Coach, the 3 games back to back of overtime. 4 of the 8 games played now have ended up going to overtime, and unfortunately all have ended up in losses. But we talked about the silver lining of salvaging some points. I wanted to get your take on the 3-on-3 overtime period, and because earlier this season you kind of talked about, I think it was actually right after Blaine, that you mentioned that some of the younger players that haven't really played 3-on-3 before. What kind of challenges does that present to guys that are just coming into the league?
Well, I mean, there's certainly principles in place to be successful on 3-on-3, and again, it's part of our, we work on it, and we've quite frankly been rotten. And you know, you got to have the puck more than you don't have the puck. And right now, teams are owning the puck on us and able to beat one of our guys. It's every game they've beaten one of our guys for a blatant opportunity. So you have to be good one-on-one in 3-on-3, and it's definitely, it takes a lot of work. And the new fresh faces in here who haven't seen 3-on-3 just don't understand that it's time to elevate your compete level. You know, 3-on-3 hockey is a willingness, and it's if you really have to be willing to play tough hockey and to not to be denied and to create some offensive opportunity and really put the other team on their heels. And we're going to continue to work on that, and it's a part of our game we have to improve on substantially.
Well, and it's something that I would imagine will be a little easier or come a little more naturally with time and with experience. Because, I mean, you look back at last year's team and it seemed like, you know, if it was going to overtime, I always felt like the advantage was to the Wings, just because how well they transitioned, how well they moved and skated. And it just seemed to be a good fit for them. So I'm sure, as you know, we talked about, with experience and with those opportunities, they'll get better. But certainly, it's got to help a little bit to have these games, these overtime games early on in the season, so they kind of get those growing pains out of the way, don't you think?
Well, you know, you'd like to think that you can only get better, you know, when you make mistakes and you learn from it, and as long as you're learning from it, you can improve. So, you know, the only way we have right now is up when it comes to that. You know, we need to score more goals and stop more pucks and not go to overtime. That would be one solution to our problem. And we're not scoring enough goals right now. So, but goal scoring's hard in this division, and it's hard in junior hockey, and it takes time to really develop your game into that. So, hopefully, we get our guys a few more goals and allow our goaltending to settle in and not be in such tight games where we have to rely on a shootout or a 3-on-3.
All right. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about what's coming up, also about some of the new faces in the locker room and what some impressions and so on were coming up in just a moment. But let's take a break and hear from some of the words from some of our sponsors right here. Welcome back as we continue on with Wings Weekly. And as promised, we'll talk about what's coming up. Coach, right now, Bismarck is at 13 points, first in the division, Minot 12, Austin 11, Wilderness 10, Wings 8, and St. Cloud at the bottom of the division with 6. It's obviously very early to be looking at standings and so on. But as you talked about, you don't really want to dig much of a hole either, and hopefully go through those growing pains sooner rather than later. But Minot coming up, they've started the season pretty strong. First time seeing them this year, at least on the ice. What have you seen from Coach Murray's team this year?
Yeah, same team, very, very disciplined style of play, skilled. I think their lineup is deep. You know, they get production from all 4 of their lines. You know, they got a veteran goalie in there with Garrity. So, you know, they're a good opponent. You know, Marty does a good job every year. They're always right there at the end, and they're going to be tough at home. So, you know, it's an opportunity for us to up our game and go in there and try to get some points on the weekend. And, you know, like, it doesn't really matter at this point who we're playing. We have to improve our game. We have to improve who we are. And as long as we take care of that, you know, we'll start taking points off every team in this division.
Is there any, solace that can be taken from the fact that you're in these games and they're close? You're not getting blown out by anybody at any time, really, you know, and as Coach Hill mentioned at one point, it's not a matter of really even getting beat. It's a matter of beating yourselves. And I would think that there's some positivity in the locker room that when that starts to come around, you know, the things start to go your way, rather than feeling like you're outskated, out-talented, you know, out-skilled, out whatever. They're at least these are competitive games, and I would think that would kind of help in the locker room a bit, huh?
Yeah, if you're an optimistic person, I guess. You know, I'm not here. We're not here to just be in games, And our work rate has to get better, and we need to start out working these opponents. And when we do that, we're going to earn our points instead of just trying to hang on and salvage points. Other teams are out to a better start than us. We understand that. We're going to just continue to grow as a hockey team and keep putting pieces in place until we start heading into barns where people fear us again. So, it's losing sucks, and that's where we're at right now. Mm-hmm. And I know that if I'm going to be optimistic, I know that we have a good group of guys in here, and it's just a matter of getting one or two out of the way and getting that feeling what it takes to win a hockey game, and I think things will be great.
Right on. Well, you mentioned it, a good group of guys in here. I wanted to talk about some of the new skaters, new players that have come in over the last week, and we talked about it even a little bit last week about guys like Abrams and so on. But you add Eder, and then Tarnqvist, and of course Abrams, as we talked about. But I mean, they made a pretty significant impact right away. It seemed. I mean, I was really impressed with those guys. Tarnqvist seems like a very skilled skater that plays with a lot of passion. Eder as well. Definitely one of a grittier guy that is going to win some battles and so on. What were your guys' thoughts about the way they helped this team?
Yeah, I thought that they did a great job. I mean, you look at Abrams, he's just a solid defenseman. He'll block shots. He keeps it simple. He doesn't try to do what he's not capable of doing, and he makes that blue line a lot better. Eder is a player that has won at every level. He's won championships at every level. He knows how to win, and he's a guy that makes us deeper. Tornquist is a highly talented, very young. He's our youngest player, but one of the most talented players in this locker room when it comes to vision and hands and ability to make plays and be a difference maker. And with him being an 01, a younger guy, there's going to be some mistakes and he needs some coaching, but he's got the tools, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Pretty evident over the weekend. I thought right away comes out and scores the goal that first game and just played with a lot of fire, it seemed like. Of course, I know it's a chess match. You're always moving pieces and so on, but any other additions that you expect that we can look forward to?
Yeah, Houston Cartman will be in the lineup this weekend. Houston played in the BCHL in Wenatchee. I think the fans around here are going to like Houston. He doesn't hold back out there, that's for sure. He's a hard-working player. He's a tough kid, and he's going to be a contributor around here.
Excellent. Look forward to seeing him here this weekend in Minot. All right. Well, Coach, as we talked about, we're in Minot this coming weekend. Don't have a lot of notes on that right now, but you can check the website for game times and so on. Of course, as always, it's available to be seen at Wings and Rings, Buffalo Wings and Rings, and on HockeyTV.com, and of course 94.1 The Rock and HubCityRadio.com as well. And as mentioned, for all the latest information and news, you can check the Aberdeen Wings website. So that'll pretty much wrap up this week's Wings Weekly. Coach, thanks so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts and spending some time here with us. And once again, that'll pretty much be it. So until next time, have a good week.